So hi everyone, today in this video we're gonna develop another mental model that can be useful for you, since mental models is a representation about how the reality work, and as much more you grasp them, higher is your probability of getting what you want, that is prosperity. Because you to get prosperity you rely on having to take actions that are appropriate from the environment that you are, the context that you are stuck in. And so for that, you're required to have knowledge, you're required to have interpretation. To make a constant type of interpretation that you absorb data, you make interpretation to create outputs, we have systems like the bulletproof problem solving to solve problems or other ones that you can create that could be so important frameworks to constantly generate actions that you can do. But obviously, so it's as well important to have principles that could be the building blocks of your arguments that makes you justify certain actions. So it's always important to get these mental models because they are always useful to increase your type of information that you could have in your repository. So what's going to be the mental model today? Economic one. Economic mental model that's called the public choice theory. Why governments can't fix even when they try. So a specific mental model that we have see uh, happen in our economic world. So what's like the core idea of this mental model? What you can talk about. The public choice theory so applies economic principles to politics, arguing that politicians, bureaucrats, and voters so act in self-interest, not the public good. Instead of being noble servants, government often fail because politicians prioritize re-election over long-term solutions, bureaucrats maximize budgets, not efficiency, and voters stay rationally ignorant since their single vote has little impact. In short, government failure is as predictable as market failure. But then, so how it works? We need to develop a bit deeper about this mental model, what we have to get about. So, how it works? First type of elements that is present here is the pollutions, the short-termism type of syndrome. Past popular but unsustainable policies, example like the deficit spending, to win votes now, ignoring future costs, example subsidizing fossil fuels to keep gas prices low before elections. We have two, but the bureaucrats, the empire building, agencies like inflate budgets to gain power, creating red tape and waste. Like example is the Pentagon spending around I could say 14,000 on toilet seats to burn excess funds. 3. The voters, the rational ignorance. Why research policy if your vote barely matters? Results citizens vote based on slogans, not substance. Example, the Brexit campaigns fueled by emotional sound bites, not straight data. So, rational ignorance is like the tragedy of commons because everyone thinks the same. Like everyone thinks that the unique solely vote is not gonna influence. The reality is that obviously it's applied to everyone, and then so if everyone applies, then we have so much less people having interest about these politics and the people that are so ruling their country. And then so the fourth point, the special interest, concentrated benefits, diffuse costs. Small powerful groups like lobbyists reach policies for their gain, while costs spread thinly across taxpayers. An example is the USA sugar quotas costing consumers around 4 billion a year to protect 4,050 sugar farmers. So CO elements in a system, all everyone need their own incentives. They try sometimes by trying to satisfy their own incentives, they create a bad system for everyone. But then, what could be like real world examples? The pork burial spending, pollution stuff bills with pet projects like the Alaska's Bridge to Nowhere to buy local votes. Two, we have the regulatory capture, the FDA fast tracks drugs pushed by pharma lobbyists risking public health, election cycles, cities like hire temporary workers, and probably so before elections to lower employment states, then fire them after. Zoning laws, homeowners block affordable housing to protect property values, worsening homelessness. So I think everyone understands why it matters. It can be applied for the whole type of policies that everyone does. So for example, the wasted taxes, 20% of the government spending is lost to inefficiency or corruption. We have stagnant reforms, vital policies like limit action, healthcare get delayed for political theater, and democracy eroded, so trust in government hits records lows globally in something that's taken from Hedelman Trust Barometer, a study that was made so with these people. So everyone acting in their own interest, pollution's even worse because their charges they're doing it is the one that's more we tend to see as serving the other ones. And obviously the as probably even one of the worst and most prioritize themselves. And that's why so when we start feeling it and the corruptions are not so getting believed by the population, is so the start of the erosion of the democracy and probably so the appearance of other ranks. In a historic cyclism, a bit that I was made, then probably a lot of the people think that today, with a lot of the democracies and the type of parties that we have in the country, we're probably in a life in a cycle that we are in the decline of these regimes, and in the near future we probably can enter in a new one. What's going to be the new one? I think the majority of people don't know, but some of them probably are working to get their own interest to get satisfied, and then so stimulating to a new regime to happen. But then obviously so it's something that we have to expect to see. But then real world examples were given, I think everyone matters. So what could be the solutions? Is probably so trying to reconfigure the system. Is understanding that everyone's gonna satisfy their own interests, but also we have to understand that the solution cannot be centralized. So the power and there is not probably not relying that we have so gonna choose someone that and that someone is gonna be someone that is not gonna prioritize himself, but yes, it's gonna prioritize the population. Probably is not something that we should rely on. We have seen studies of cycles of centralization and decentralization. Normally, when we tend to centralize, when so we tend to believe that everyone's acting in their own interest, so the system doesn't work. Probably is neither the solution. It's probably the system of decentralization that we have a lot today in comparison with other type of theory probably is the best one. Probably it's just we have to develop a bit more. We probably have to decentralize the power, but probably we have to adopt methodology, other things to not fall in certain bees as the tragedy of commons to make so not this system being so useful. So first, the solution is always to be decentralized power. The power has to be decentralized in majority of ways. So localized decisions like community budgets to reduce bureaucracy bloat. So if we want to make things work, the bureaucracy is not something necessarily that we do, and this is just you can get by decentralization. Everyone lives their day-to-day lives in a specific environment has to be much more power than a centralized force. It's something that it's a fundamental truth that you have to adopt. Now, what you have to do is by decentralization doesn't cause in people acting their own interest, a lot of them. So with the thing that we need to develop, and that's going to be in this video, that we're going to have the time to develop theory for trying to solve this problem. So transparency laws mandate real-time tracking of lobbying, spending, and pollution stock trades. It's also important, so controlling what could be the hidden agendas that some of these most powerful people they can have it and they can promote it. The politicized agencies, independent bodies like central banks set interest rates, not Congress, and citizen juries randomly selected citizens' advise on policies, bypassing lobbyists used in Ireland's climate assembly. So it's important to not give the much power for someone because at the end of the day everyone is human and we're sensitive and we have the guilt and we have like the greed to get so more power, and so it's hard to rely on just one figure it's always better to hope that the decentralization is better, and it is obviously not perfect, but is in that is something that has to exist. Now we need to develop it, this decentralization, to not fall in obviously the defects that it can have. So I expect these videos make you gain more insights. I expect it was enough to make you like, subscribe, and see other videos that may so trigger your interest. Without much more to say, just thank you and see you in the next.